Lord Jesus says, you will never be the same after knowing what this person confessed about you. My beloved child, there is something happening behind the veil of what you can see. And I, the Lord, have watched in silence, not because I am absent, but because the time has not yet come to speak until now. Today I release my voice not in thunder, but in the quiet tremble of your heart, in the ache you can't name, in the soft pulse of your breath when you think no one sees your pain. I have waited for this moment because the truth that has been carried in the shadows can no longer remain hidden. There is a person who once knew your smile, who once called you by your name when the world felt too heavy. A person who knew what they did to you, but never told you what they whispered behind your back. Until now. Yes, my child, I heard them. I was there when they broke your heart with silence. I was standing beside you when your soul sat on the edge of tears, holding in storms so that others wouldn't see. And I also stood beside them, on a night they didn't know I was listening. They spoke of you, not with anger, but with guilt. The kind of guilt that builds up in people who smile in your face but carry truth in their chest like a hidden fire. They confessed something that would change how you see everything. They said, I knew they were special. I just didn't know how to love someone that bright. And heaven heard it. Heaven wept. You see, sometimes those who hurt you most deeply are the ones who never knew how to handle the weight of your light. They knew your heart was real, they knew your loyalty was rare, they knew your spirit was different, but instead of standing beside it, they ran. Not because you weren't enough, but because your purity revealed everything in them that wasn't. But don't you see, my child? What they confessed was not just regret, it was recognition. They finally spoke aloud what I always whispered over you, that you are chosen, set apart, made of something this world doesn't teach, something that cannot be faked, something they couldn't understand until you were gone. And now that you're healing, now that you've grown, they feel it. They feel your absence like a song they never memorized but can't forget. They confessed this not to others, but to themselves. Alone. And that's where I heard it, in the echo of their private pain, they finally said the truth. And I, the Lord, am telling you because I want you to stop blaming yourself for the way they treated you. You didn't lose them. They lost the opportunity to honor something sacred. You don't carry their silence like a punishment anymore. Don't wear their rejection like a name tag. I saw it all. I heard the confession. I saw the tears they never let fall. And I'm not asking you to go back, I'm asking you to rise. Because what they finally admitted about you, I've always known. And soon, the world will too. My beloved, breathe deeply. I am still here. The wind that brushes your face when you're alone. That's me. The soft pressure in your chest when your heart suddenly remembers someone who left you without a goodbye. That too is me. Because even now, as I speak to your spirit, something is unraveling in the heavens. Something heavy, yet healing. You must know this. The person you are thinking about right now, the one whose silence became louder than a scream, the one who vanished like smoke but never left your memory, they are not as distant as they appear. In a quiet room far away from your life, far from your routines, far from your voice, they spoke your name. Again. And I was there. The light in the room dimmed as their soul broke open. It wasn't a performance. There was no audience. Only stillness and truth. They were not trying to impress anyone. They were simply trying to forgive themselves. But the problem was, they couldn't. Because the way they left you wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal of something rare, something divine. You see, they didn't just walk away from a person. They walked away from an answered prayer. They walked away from someone I sent. You. And now, their heart is heavier than it's ever been. They see your face in the kindest dreams. They hear your voice in the silence between songs. And when no one's looking, they whisper apologies to the air, hoping your soul might still be listening. My child, I need you to understand this. It is not your burden to carry the weight of someone else's delay. It is not your job to reopen a wound just because they are now realizing what you meant. You gave your best. You loved without a blueprint. You forgave beyond reason. And when they left, you did not fall, you became sacred ground. But because I love you, I will not keep this secret from you. Their confession was this: I was afraid. Afraid that someone so genuine, so kind, so real, would see how broken I really was. I pushed them away before they saw all of me. But I didn't know they already saw me, and still chose to love me. Can you feel that, beloved? That ache in your chest. That's the soul finally understanding that none of it was your fault. You were not too much. You were never asking for too much. You were simply light walking into a room full of people still learning how to see. And they were still blinded by their own shadows. Now listen carefully. You will be tempted to believe that this confession should change everything. That maybe, now that they understand, it's your turn to go back. But I say to you, no, my child. This confession is not an invitation to return. It is a revelation meant to release. You are not the same person anymore. And neither is your purpose. I held your hand through the pain, and now I hold your hand through the peace. You are free. Free from the what-ifs. Free from the silent guilt. Free from wondering if you were ever truly loved. Because yes, you were. But love delayed is not love divine. And I have a love for you that does not delay. A love that does not retreat. A love that does not need a confession to begin. It's here. Right now. In every breath you take. So wipe your tears. Smile for real this time. And let the truth do what it came to do, heal you. My precious one, lean in again, for there is still more you were meant to hear. This isn't just a story of heartbreak. This is the unfolding of a divine record, written long ago, etched in my hands before the world ever gave you a name. The confession they spoke did not only tremble through the walls of their quiet room, it rippled into the heavens. Yes, beloved, I heard it. Before their lips moved. Before their tears fell. Before their voice cracked in regret. I, the Lord who watches over your life without slumber, leaned down and listened. Their confession wasn't loud, but it was loud enough for the angels to pause. And this is what they said: I thought I could find peace without them, but everywhere I go, I carry their absence like a shadow. I thought time would blur their memory, but their name has only grown clearer in my chest. I didn't leave because I stopped loving them. I left because I didn't believe I deserved to be loved by someone so radiant, someone who loved me even when I didn't love myself. Child, when I heard those words, heaven did not celebrate, it wept. Because love like yours should never be discarded, never be buried under fear. And yet, I permitted this heartbreak, not because you deserved it, but because your story demanded the stretching of your soul. It had to break you, not to destroy you, but to awaken you. You didn't lose them. You found yourself. Let me show you something now, something they'll never admit to you in person. There were moments after they walked away, when they would scroll through old messages and stop breathing at your words. There were nights they would visit your profile, hoping to find signs of sadness, only to discover your quiet strength. They watched you survive the very storm they caused, and it shook them in ways they still can't explain. Because deep down, they knew, no one would ever love them like you did. But my child, hear this loud in your spirit: just because they finally see it, doesn't mean they are ready to hold it. I never designed your heart to wait at the door of someone who couldn't choose it the first time. I designed your heart to walk in miracles, to dance in truth, to sit at the table of someone who sees you, fully, fearlessly, faithfully. And so, the confession was not given to you so you could return to what broke you. It was given so that you could stop wondering if you ever mattered. You did. You still do. You were not easy to forget. You were not easy to replace. They tried. Believe me. But what you gave them was more than presence, it was sanctuary. Now listen, child, the next chapter of your life does not begin with them turning around. It begins with you choosing not to wait anymore. The next chapter is about divine alignment. I am writing someone into your story who will not need a confession to understand your worth. They will see it immediately. And they will cherish it from the first moment. That's why I had to let this one walk away. Because the next one doesn't run. But before that happens, I needed you to know what I heard in heaven. Because I love you enough to show you the whole truth. They didn't leave because you were not enough. They left because they didn't believe they could ever rise to match what you carried. They still don't. But you, my child, are rising. Every step. Every tear. Every silent evening when you kept believing anyway. And I am proud. So proud of the way you've carried pain with such quiet grace. That is why your blessing is no longer delayed. It's approaching. Fast. Watch what I bring in place of what walked away. You will never be the same, not because they finally confessed, but because I never stopped choosing you. My beloved, come closer, for this next part is sacred. In a room where they thought they were alone, your name was spoken again. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in the quiet hush that follows someone finally realizing the weight of what they lost. Their brother sat across from them, watching them wrestle with a silence too loud for words, and then suddenly, like a dam breaking, they spoke. They said, I don't know why I walked away. I think about them every day. I replay everything, and I wonder if I ever really deserved someone like that. And child, at that very moment, my angels leaned closer, and I, the Lord of all things seen and unseen, marked those words in my eternal book. They thought they were whispering into the void, but they were speaking into heaven's court, into a holy realm that watches over your life with tenderness and justice. They confessed that they see now how rare you were. How you stayed when it was hard. How you prayed for them when they had no words. How you kept loving them even when they didn't understand how to receive it. They said you were the safest place they ever knew. And yet, they still left. And here is what I need you to understand, my precious one, their absence was never about your worth. I removed them not because you were unlovable, but because I had to protect the calling on your life. I could not let confusion walk beside purpose. I could not let their indecision dilute your destiny. So I separated you, even when it hurt, even when you begged me to make it work. Because I saw what you couldn't, I saw how deeply your spirit was being bruised by trying to carry what wasn't committed. But now they are waking up. Slowly. Painfully. And they're realizing the truth in pieces. They're looking back, and every memory of you is like a lighthouse calling them into the storm of their own regret. They're remembering how you knew them in ways no one else ever has. How you didn't just love the version they showed the world, you loved the version they were scared of. You saw the broken places and still stayed. And now that love echoes in the emptiness they live with. And here's the part heaven wept over, they told their brother, no, they'll never come back, but if they knew how much I still care, maybe they'd forgive me. And my child, I want you to hear this as clearly as thunder in your soul, you don't owe them your return to prove your healing. Your healing is your return to me. Your healing is your decision to stop bleeding for someone who couldn't see your beauty while you were still standing in front of them. Your healing is sacred. Your peace is sacred. And you don't need to go back to where you cried the most, just because they finally felt what they should have known all along. I have already written a new beginning for you. One that is rooted in clarity, in real love, in divine timing. And this time, it won't be confusing. It won't leave you guessing. It won't require you to shrink yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. So when you wonder why this confession is reaching your ears now, understand, it's not to make you chase what's behind. It's to finally free you from the question, did I matter? Yes. You did. You always did. And not just to them, but to me. That's why I'm preparing someone who doesn't have to lose you to understand your value. Someone who won't ask you to fight for a place in their heart, because they'll already have carved your name into theirs. Someone who won't wait years to confess what I already whispered over you the day you were born: you are worthy of love that stays. So dry your tears, my child. Let the confession be what it is, a reminder that your love was never wasted, it just wasn't received by the one who could carry it. But I'm sending someone who can. Stay open. Stay ready. Your life is about to bloom in places you thought had died. Because when heaven writes a comeback, nothing looks like the past. Not even your heart. My beloved child, heaven saw it all. The trembling of their voice. The way their breath caught in their throat when they said your name for the first time in a long time. They tried to speak normally, tried to hide it behind a laugh or a sentence about something else, but their eyes gave it away. Their eyes had grief inside them. Not the kind that comes from someone dying, but the kind that comes from letting go of someone still alive. Someone who was once their everything. Someone whose smile still visits their dreams. And yes, my child, that someone is you. They didn't mean for it to happen that way. That conversation. That confession. That moment. It just poured out of them like a river breaking loose from a dam. They said, I didn't know what love was when I had it. But now that I've felt the absence of it, I know. It was them. It was always them. Their words weren't scripted. Their heart was raw. And for the first time in a long time, they admitted something they were too proud to say before: I was the one who broke it. I was the one who walked away. And I think I broke myself in the process. And do you know what happened, child? In that sacred moment of truth, a wind stirred in the spirit. One of my angels, yes, the one I assigned to you since birth, bent down and wrote that moment into the book of mercy. Because even though you were never there to hear it with your ears, heaven wanted your soul to finally hear it now. You were not the villain in their story. You were the healing they couldn't receive. And still, you waited. You wondered. You prayed. You sat in silence thinking, was I too much? Was I too soft? No, my love. You were exactly what they needed, but they were too afraid to accept something that pure, something that real. So they ran. Not because you were unworthy, but because they were unready. But let me tell you something even more important. The value of your love was never dependent on their ability to keep it. Love is not a transaction. It's a revelation. And what you gave them was holy. Heaven saw it. I saw the way you showed up even when they didn't ask. I saw the way you forgave even when they didn't say sorry. I saw the way you stayed awake with a heavy heart, hoping they would change, praying they would see you, aching for one more moment where you could be enough in their eyes. But child, here's what I need you to grasp now: you were always enough in mine. And I never let your tears fall unnoticed. Each one watered the ground for what's about to bloom in your life. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are chosen. You are rising. And this confession, this unexpected moment of truth that floated into the air like a candle's last flame, it is not the beginning of them coming back. It is the final seal of your freedom. Let me repeat that: this was never about bringing them back. This was about you knowing what I've always known: your love had weight. Your presence had purpose. And even when they didn't say it then, they're saying it now because it's too heavy to carry in silence any longer. But my child, do not carry it again. Let me carry you now. Let me lead you to the place where no more apologies are needed. Where the next love will come without confusion. Where the next conversation will be safe. Where your laughter won't be followed by doubt, and where your soul will not have to shrink just to fit inside someone's temporary heart. I'm preparing a new table for you. One where the love you gave away so freely will finally return to you, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. And when you sit at that table, you'll look back not in bitterness, but in peace, knowing that their confession was not your closure. It was your confirmation. Your love changed them, even if they didn't stay. And now, I'm bringing a love that will never leave. Let go, my child. Let go of what you never deserved to carry alone. Because what I'm bringing will be worth everything you lost. My beloved child, the world may never bring you face to face with the confession that was poured into the air like sacred smoke, but I did not let it go unnoticed. I saw it. I heard it. I recorded every syllable into the book of remembrance that only heaven holds. And though your ears were not in the room, your spirit felt the pull. You were sitting still, mind wandering, heart aching for something you couldn't name, and that was the very moment they said your name again after so long. Not out of anger. Not out of ego. But from the well of a soul finally haunted by the truth. They sat in a room that felt safe enough to unravel. Their voice cracked when they said it. I never meant to treat them that way. I think I lost the only person who really saw me. That silence that followed, I was in it. I watched as they swallowed guilt they carried like stones in their chest. I watched as their eyes filled not just with tears but with memories. Memories of your kindness, your patience, your laughter that echoed through their coldest nights. The way your presence felt like sunlight, quiet, constant, warm. And they said it, I didn't deserve them. I think I knew it even then. But I didn't know how to hold something that sacred.